Retire your way. It sounds great, right? But how do you do it? We talk about it next. This is Retiring Today. I'm here with Chawn, Honkomp, and Loren Merkle. They're both certified financial planners, certified financial fiduciaries, and Chawn is a CPA. And this guy, Loren Merkle, he is the author of a book. It's called Retiring Your Way. I have it in my hands here, Retire Your Way. Loren, Chawn, everybody wants to retire your way, but how do they do it?
Well, this is a concept I've been thinking about for a number of years, because over the last 20 years, as we've worked with people trying to make this transition to retirement, that is, in fact, the number one question. How do we do it? Where do we start? What is this thing, a retirement plan that you always talk about? What exactly is it? So I wrote Retire Your Way to be a guide for those pre-retirees to first identify what is a retirement plan, what should a retirement plan look like for you, and it's okay to have different ideas about what your retirement is than your siblings, than what your parents had, or your co-workers or your neighbors. Everybody has a different vision for what their retirement is. Now it's about how do you put these financial pieces of the puzzle together to help you on your way to retirement. Retiring today is different. For some people, it's not even leaving work. You might choose to have a different career or work part-time, still make W-2 income, and just have more freedom to do the other things that you want. Or you might retire all the way together, go motorhoming or winter down south, or follow the grandkids around. It's different for everybody. So your financial retirement plan needs to be different than everybody. It needs to be customized to you and Retire Your Way.
Chawn, you've seen Retire Your Way play out a lot of different ways, and it's pretty rewarding when you deliver that plan to people.
Yeah, parts of this are about developing that retirement vision that you talked about, and really for you to define what retirement success means to you. And that does look different for so many people out there, and that's what's so much fun is we do develop these customized plans. It's not the same experience and same outcome every time with the number of households that we work with. So we do help you focus, and we play a part in that role of developing that retirement vision. One of the components is the lifestyle plan, so that you can start to identify what this new stage of life looks like. And it has been so much fun helping so many people retire their way, which again is different for everybody. Just even a visit this week, we are now starting to work with a single individual where she had an advisor before, but that focus was all about the investments, and she didn't know if she could retire. And now we've only been 2 visits with her through our process, and we've been able to show her that plan, and now she feels that much more confident. She already knows that she's going to be able to retire her way, and she's already planning on retiring sooner than what she was previously thinking about.
And now she's making all these retirement planning decisions with confidence because she has her plan to help her guide her on her mission to her retirement, and it's customized to what it is she's trying to accomplish. That's one of the concepts I write about in the book, is the difference between financial advisors and retirement planners. And there's no right or wrong. It's just not all advisors are the same, and not all advisors do the same thing. And that's why we call ourselves retirement planners, because we only work with those within 10 years of retiring and already retired, developing these plans to help them make confident decisions, where a lot of advisors, most advisors, just focus on the investments. And that's really good. That's really powerful when you're 40 years old and your primary focus is the investments and just saving. But then you get on the doorsteps of retirement and realize you have a whole bunch of decisions you have to make that you've never had to make before, like Social Security and Medicare and how to decrease your retirement tax bill and all these decisions you've never had to make before. That's where the retirement plan and planner really come into play.
Yeah, the book is full of really good anecdotes because you've been doing this for 20 years now. You've helped a lot of people. And one that I've earmarked right here, it says 99% on here. That's a story I think that's worth sharing.
Well, it's a story that is worth sharing from a standpoint that it identifies one of those misnomers of all advisors are the same, because this couple came to us and they had been working with an advisor for a long time, and the advisor put together some numbers and said to this couple that based on your financial situation, you have a 99% chance of living to the age of 100 and not running out of your portfolio assets. And they're feeling really good, and as you would.
Yeah,
right? Somebody
that
tells
sounds
you,
good.
a professional tells you you can live to age 100 and not have to worry about running out of money. That's every pre-retiree's dream. But then we put together their plan in an actuality based on everything. the amount of money they needed to spend to fund their lifestyle, the resources that they had, they were actually going to run out of money in their mid 70s to early 80s. Now that's a completely different picture, and that was a rude awakening for them, but they were grateful to hear that information because they hadn't retired yet. And there was still some steps that they could take to help shore up their retirement plan to help them fuel their retirement vision prior to going into retirement. And what they told me is that they would much rather hear this information now, 5 years from retiring, than 5 years into retirement where it's too late to go back to work. And now they're faced with either decreasing their lifestyle significantly or running out of money.
And Loren, I know I wasn't a part of that experience, but I've had those experiences as well. And what it gets me to think about is this was what makes me appreciate the process we take through. And that's why we know the process that we do take you through is so valuable, because we have a couple of visits as we're getting to know each other and we're explaining, what it means to have a retirement plan, and we're talking about some of these assumptions we use. And I've seen drastically different plans as well that, with these assumptions we use, we can show whatever we want to show. And in a lot of these cases, these plans look much different. If we show a 10% average return or an 8% average return, we tend to be more conservative, and most of you feel the same way. You want to be more conservative, assume things are just okay. And it can look drastically different, and that's what's valuable, again, about that process, is making sure that we're having a really good conversation together, and you fully understand what your plan looks like and really what's driving that plan.
And I'm sure people out there are watching going, well, how do I find out? How long is my money going to last? At 75, we know that if you make it to age 65, you have a chance of living, your chance of living to 86 is much higher. So 75 doesn't sound long enough for a lot of people. So a great place, Loren, for people to start at least a conversation, or again, take that first step, is to schedule a 15-minute retirement checkup call.
And those checkup calls are really simple, and it's a great place to start in getting an idea of what your retirement plan might look like to help you retire your way. Any of the retirement planning questions that you might be thinking about, that's a great time to address it. We might even bring up some ideas or concepts that maybe you haven't thought about before. It's not that uncommon for people to tell us on these calls, well, I didn't know what I didn't know. It's a great place to start thinking about the different components that should be involved in your retirement plan and getting those questions answered.
You can schedule your 15-minute retirement checkup call today by going to merkleretire.com. It's pretty easy. There's a calendar there. You choose a time and a date that works for you, and you can start talking about your retirement journey. It's a great way to take that first step. But another way to take a first step is the information that's in this book. So you're wondering probably, how can I get a copy? Well, we'll tell you next.
You dream of a happy retirement, but there are some big questions to answer first. Do I have enough saved? When should I take Social Security? How will I pay for health care and keep up with inflation? Go to merkleretire.com to schedule a 15-minute retirement checkup call to talk directly with a retirement planner and get answers to your important retirement questions. The first step to your retirement starts with a 15-minute retirement checkup call.
This is Retiring Today. I'm here with Loren Merkle and Chawn Honkomp, and we are talking about Loren's new book. Here it is, Retire Your Way. And in the book, Loren, there is a pretty good amount of action steps, things that people can do. And we talked about that 15-minute checkup call. That's a good one. And it's all part of a 3-step process that'll get them to a retirement plan.
Yeah, and on that call, that's an instrumental part of the 3-part process where we're learning more about you, and you can have questions that you've been thinking about answered. And if we want to go forward, then you'll come into the office, we'll sit down face to face, and it's a continuation of that call. And what I really love about that connection visit is we will learn more about you and what you're trying to do from a retirement vision standpoint. What is retiring your way? And then after that conversation, if we want to get together again, then we'll go to the strategized visit where we'll provide you some analytics around what you've done thus far from a retirement planning standpoint and really highlight some opportunities that you might have to create your retirement plan. And then if we want to get together again, that's when we'll decide we'll want to work together and build out your plan. And that's the really exciting part where we'll work together to build your custom retirement plan. And then that plan will guide you on your way to and through retirement. if through that process we decide we don't want to work together, that's okay too, because you'll have more information to help you on your way to have that retirement that you've always dreamed of.
Chawn, the strategized visit can include a lot of things, but right now we want to peel back the layers, kind of show people a little bit more of a process.
Yeah, there is a lot of substance to that step 2, that strategy visit. Typically that connection visit can be 30 to 60 minutes long, but in that strategy visit, part 2, a lot of times that can be anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes long because we're having a lot of conversation. We're trying to get to know each other a lot better because we're doing some analysis. And we know part of developing that plan, and as we get into this pre-retirement and retirement stage of life, is thinking about, well, what else is out there? What could happen? We know there are a lot of potential risks that can be part of this stage of life. In fact, there's a lot of risks that we have throughout our lives, but some of these become even more important as you get into and further through your pre-retirement stage of life and into your retirement journey. So you think about living too short or too long, both of them. Obviously, nobody wants to live too short. We want to have these 20, 30, or 40 years of the retirement journey, but living too long can also be a risk as well. It might increase the chance of you potentially running out of money before you run out of time. Health is both from an active standpoint, how well are you able to enjoy your retirement lifestyle, as well as from an expense standpoint. Do you need doctor visits, medications, and potentially long-term care? Is that a part of your retirement journey? We know we've got taxes. We talk about taxes a lot. We've got political risk from a standpoint of legislative changes. What can that mean to your plan? We've got inflation risk. We know that's something that's top of mind. We've had a time period here of some hyperinflation. So that's something we're certainly more aware of and thinking more about as we develop these plans. And we've got market risk, and we know market risk is certainly something you're paying attention to. You think back when you first started saving in your 20s, you're investing, you're saving, you're making some of these decisions, and you're paying attention to your market risk. And oftentimes in that accumulation stage of life, most of you think that this market risk alone, which is part of your investment plan, you think that is your retirement plan. But as you get further into life, you get to this retirement stage of life, becomes even more important. We need to be more intentional about how market risk can impact your plan. We know we can't control the overall markets, but part of our process, we're going to help you identify how you're investing, help make sure you understand how much exposure you're taking on in the markets and how much risk you're taking on, because we know, as I mentioned, we can't control the markets. We are going to have some challenging market times just like we always have. And we're going to look at a couple of time periods here that now just reflect what the S&P 500 has done. I know all of you remember the Great Recession. So if we look at just the calendar year 2008, that 12-month time period, the S&P 500 was down around 38%. If we look a little bit at a longer time period that encompassed that, the Great Recession itself, which was about 18 months long, the S&P 500 was down somewhere around 57%. Another time period that is unique to its own sort was just March of 2020 alone. And this isn't even the entire month. This was really only about 2/3 of the month of March of 2020. The S&P 500 dropped around 34% in just part of that month alone. And even more recently, if we just look back to last year, 2022, the S&P 500 was down around 19%. And that was a unique situation of its own. It really just trailed down all year long. The markets started high, but they were down essentially all year long, and they ended up with a negative 19% return. These are the things we know we can't control, but what we're going to try to help you do is be more intentional about developing that plan and making sure that you have a better understanding of how much risk you're taking so that we're prepared for something like this and we're not turning over the control of your retirement plan to some things we can't control.
I don't like that history lesson, guys. But what about I want to see the up arrows. But I know people out there, especially pre-retirees and retirees, they remember because their 401k generally was probably doing that.
And that's the thing when it comes to market performance is there's a whole lot more up arrows than there are down arrows. There's a whole lot more green than there is red. But people tend to remember the red because it's the red and the down arrows that have that dramatic negative implication on their ability to retire and stay retired. Back in 2008, and I know you guys know a lot of people who probably couldn't retire in 2008 because they lost 40-50% of their life savings, or they had to come out of retirement, or they had to postpone their retirement. And that's not what you're looking to do as you're looking to plan for one of the most important phases of your life, which is a time where you're not going to have W-2 income and you're going to have to support yourself the rest of your 20 to 25 year retirement with the resources that you have available to you. And I love the concept of let's focus on the things you can control, because there's a whole lot of things you can't control, but your portfolio and how your portfolio reacts to the downturns like a 2022 or a 2008 is one of the things that you can control. And this is something that we talk about in the book, Retire Your Way, is how do you create a recession-resistant portfolio that gives you back the control over your lifestyle and your income that you can derive from your portfolio, regardless of what happens with these crazy markets that none of us can control.
Yeah, I think people might be surprised to learn that there are strategies. You don't have to be a victim to all of those arrows that were on the screen. They're gone now. I'm kind of glad about that. Glad to see those arrows gone. And so you might still kind of be trying to wrap your mind around the concept. Well, here's a great way to look into not only what Loren talks about in the book, by the way, it's chapter 3, market volatility. There's also an entire guide on recessions, how to kind of build a retirement plan that doesn't go up and down with the stock market. And that guide comes when you go to this website. It's retireyourwaytoolkit.com. Here's what we do. There you can download the book and 5 guides. There's a guide on taxes, a guide on Social Security, an income checklist. Oh yeah, and longevity, will your money last longer than you do? That's a question a lot of pre-retirees and retirees have. There's a whole guide on that. And guys, the nice thing about the guide is I think it gets people thinking about things they haven't previously had to think about.
Yeah, it really aligns with what we just talked about. You know, that guide is, will a recession rob your retirement? So it really drives you, it helps you evaluate some of the components of your plan to ensure that you can withstand these market downturns that we know are going to happen. We talk a lot that on average a recession happens every 5 or so years. So if your plan is to have a 20, 30, maybe 40-year retirement, we're going to have a lot of these red down periods. And yeah, we're focusing on the red, but we know there's plenty of green. You know, the market's always been positive over time, but we've got to be prepared to withstand these down time periods. So yeah, this guide is certainly going to help you feel better about where you stand with your overall plan.
That's one of the things that people really appreciate about the Retire Your Way toolkit is not only is it packed with information, but it's packed with action steps, things that you can specifically do to help you on your way to being able to retire your way. So a lot of information, but also action steps.
Well, and there's action steps in there too, and those are helpful, but I also think too, guys, I've looked at all of these guides, they do make a pretty good case for why you need to build a retirement plan.
Yeah, not only why you should build a retirement plan, but how to start and what should be involved in your overall retirement plan. All of those things have to work together in order for you to have that retirement plan that's customized to you to help you on your way.
Okay, so our process has 3 parts. We talked about the connect part and the strategize part, but the plan, that's what we're going to talk about next.
Retirement is all about staying active and spending time with loved ones. But you may still wonder if you can have the retirement you've dreamed of. Download our complimentary Retire Your Way toolkit to receive a copy of Loren Merkle's new book, Retire Your Way, and 5 guides that'll help you turn your retirement worries into confidence. Go to retireyourwaytoolkit.com. Don't just dream about retirement. Take action and retire your way.
This is Retiring Today. I'm here with Chawn Honkomp and Loren Merkle. So we're talking about step 3 in the 3-step process to building a retirement plan. And Chawn, it's aptly named step 3, plan.
3 is the plan, and that's at that point where we've had a couple touch points with the people that we're interacting with, and we've shown them really everything we can. Our team did the analysis of their current, financial picture, and we've been able to give you a lot of information. And we get to step 3 if we've decided that yes, we want to work together, which Loren mentioned before throughout that process. Yes or no is okay. We know if we know we're not the right fit, nobody's here to force a relationship. But if we say yes, then that's where we move to part 3 of that process, which is that planning process. And that's really where we continue to build upon your plan and continue to develop our relationship as you move further and further into your retirement journey.
And Chawn showed us a lot of stock market performance stuff, and I know that's an important part of what you guys do, but the comprehensive plan, a comprehensive retirement plan, Loren, is so much more than investments.
It's a lot more than investments. It's all and some of this is intuitive because as you get closer to retirement, you start to realize you have to make decisions that are centered all around the 6 components of a retirement plan. When you get to retirement, you have to replace your income, so you need to have an income plan. When you deliver income, you're going to pay taxes on that income. Tax diversification is an essential part of a pre-retiree tax plan. Healthcare is a big part of the plan, regardless of when you retire, prior to 65 or even 65 and beyond. And that's why we have a healthcare Medicare specialist, Anna Marie Morrow, on our team to help guide our families through the maze of options through the healthcare and Medicare option pool, and then the legacy planning piece of it, as well as the investment plan piece. And all of those 5 components work together for you to help you identify how are you going to financially afford the 6th component of the plan, which is your lifestyle component. And the lifestyle component is the fun stuff. This is the stuff that you're thinking about on a consistent basis as it's 3 o'clock on a Monday afternoon and you're at work and you're like, I wish I could be doing this. Right? That's the lifestyle part of the plan. What are all the things that you're going to find to spend your time on when you do retire? So there's the 6 total components that should be involved in your plan. Your retirement is different than anybody else's retirement, so your plan needs to be customized to your situation.
And we're very intentional about who we are. You know, we've been a retirement planning firm from day one, so we've got this 6-part process. And we're very, very intentional about that process that we take people through, that 3-part process that we talked about. So by the time we get through that strategy visit, you're going to know what it looks like, what it feels like to work together. So we're intentional about that to make sure it is the right fit. So that if we're going to start this relationship, we know that planning where we get to part 3 is really just the start. You know, that's the start to now where this is where the fun begins, and now we get to start making some of these decisions, help you feel even more confident about what you're gonna have in front of you, and that's where we get to have some fun, start this relationship, and make sure you feel confident about the upcoming retirement stage of life.
And one of the things that families and individuals really enjoy about the process is it's not just Chawn and I or Haley and Anna Marie saying, you should do this strategy, you should implement this tax saving strategy, you should implement this healthcare plan. It's you get to see it. So you get to see if you do this, this is the benefit that it's going to bring you short-term and long-term. If you make this Social Security decision, here's the income difference it's going to make to you short-term, long-term. And when people get to see the decisions that they could make and the implications long and short, then making these otherwise tough decisions become a whole lot easier, and it makes the planning process a lot more fun for you because it's very visual and you get to see the immediate and long-term impacts of the decisions that you have to make.
So you guys do set these plans with people. I've seen it. You physically give them a plan. Here's where you're going to get income from. Here's how you're going to pay for healthcare. What kinds of things can happen that can say, hey, wait, let's change the plan. We need to relook at things.
There's a whole lot of things that can happen, whether it's in your life or even most recently, starting in 2020, right? COVID happened. Nobody can control that. Going back to the uncontrollables and controllables. Economical factors influence. 2022, we saw interest rates go from here to up here in a very short period of time, and that influenced a whole bunch of people's retirement plans, whether it was their pension decisions or the performance of their portfolio. There's a lot of things that can happen almost on a yearly basis, which is why once your plan is created, it is not a set it and forget it. You have to pay attention to it. We work with our families on an every year basis to make the changes necessary based on all the factors and things that could happen over the course of one's retirement.
Yeah, I know I say a lot to the people in my visits, this thing's written in pencil. Life events are going to happen, back to your question, Molly, and all the different risk categories that we talked about before. There's lots of different things that can lead to an adjustment in the plan. I mean, we can't control everything, right? We can control how much we spend, we can control how active and healthy we stay for the most part, but things are going to happen, with the type of, the stage of life we work with people. We get those phone calls on a weekly basis, and they're not always phone calls that we want to get. Most times they're positive, but they're not always the case. So we've got to be able to, we got to be in a position where we can react to whatever life throws our way.
Do you know what's not written in pencil? Do you know what's written in black ink on white pages? The Retire Your Way book that Loren just wrote. I'm excited about this book. I read it. There's a lot of great stuff in here. What Loren does too is he tells a lot of stories, anecdotes about the people that he's worked with. He doesn't give away their names or their identities, but he's learned a lot over the last 20 years, and he's talked to a lot of people, and you're going to want to hear about some of those stories. So here are the details. You can go to retireyourwaytoolkit.com right now. You can go there, and here's what's going to happen. The book is there, and then there are 5 guides. So you guys kind of touched on some of these concepts. You mentioned Social Security, but just a mention of Social Security, Loren, doesn't do it justice when it comes to the decision facing you in retirement.
If you add up your monthly Social Security payments that you could receive over the course of a 20 to 25 year retirement, if you're just a single individual, that could represent a $500,000 plus lifetime portfolio, married couple over $1 million. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for, I don't care how much money you have to start when you're in retirement, and that's guaranteed for your life. We talk about in the book different strategies, how to go about electing the strategies. You have up to 81 different options, so that's a lot to choose from. How do you start selecting between those options? It's all detailed in the book.
And what the guides will do, Chawn, is give people things to start thinking about, the decisions they've never had to make before, and start their journey to retirement.
These guides can help people think about and become more familiar with what they're not thinking about. That's a question that we do get a lot. They're talking about it. These guides are covering some of these different risks, and that's a part of the book that I really like, is that we talk about these different risks. The goal isn't to mitigate these risks down to zero. That simply can't be done across all the different risk categories. So if you think about it, there is no specific point or achievement in life that says, hey, now you're ready to retire. You've done everything you need to do. And that is where there is the power of the plan. Having that plan so that you know you can make those decisions and retire when you're ready.
Well, and that's what it says right in the book. I keep looking at it because I want to make sure I got the phrase right, but it's so true. Don't just dream about retirement, plan for it. Retire your way. That's what everybody wants to do.
Power of the plan, Chawn, that's your favorite saying. I think when you write a book, that should be the title.
I like it.
The power of the plan.
Let's get it locked in.
Stay tuned to Retirement Today. We'll talk about the power of the plan. We'll talk with Chawn, we'll talk with Loren, and we'll keep talking about this book, Retire Your Way. Thanks for watching.
Do I have enough saved for retirement? When should I take Social Security? Which Medicare option is best? How do I plan for inflation? Sometimes the road to retirement starts with more questions than answers. We're here to help. Join us for our upcoming Journey to Retirement workshop. Get answers and start your retirement journey with confidence. Our online workshop includes information on Secure Act 2.0 and changing retirement rules. Visit retirewithmerkle.com to register for an upcoming workshop. Your retirement journey starts now.